Welcome to Black Cat. I'm Tony. That's Samra. And something pretty big happened last night. I don't know if you guys are aware, but the 98th Academy Awards were last night. The only reason why I know that it's the 98th is because it says it at the top of the website as we are going to be reacting to the awards. Now, we didn't see every single movie from last year. Very few people did. Not even the people who vote on these awards watch every single movie. So we're not
Unfortunately.
alone. We're
Yeah.
not alone in that. But we did see a lot, right? Like I saw 8 out of the 10. I think you saw 7 out of the 10,
Seven
and
out
the
of the
only
10.
one, the only one that we hadn't seen, the only one that I'd seen that you hadn't seen was The Secret Agent, which I watched just days before the awards. Everything else we had seen together. Now, get out of the way. The two movies that we weren't able to see were Sentimental Value, which, by the way, just an idea. Maybe put the Best Picture nominees on streaming somewhere. Would be a good idea.
Please, please. I
Just
mean,
make
thank God
make them
that
available.
movie. Yeah, I'm glad that movie had it available for everyone in the UK and Ireland. Great for them, but yeah, it's a bummer that they didn't have an option here. So yeah.
We both would have watched it if it was available. Now you could have paid for it, but I didn't feel like paying for it.
Yeah.
And then Hamnet, which we both wanted to see, just ended up not seeing it. So those are the only two movies that we didn't see. With that said, this is by far the most Best Picture nominees I'd seen in a single year. Is that true for you?
Yep, exactly the same. Seven. I've never done that good. So I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of you. Look at us.
We should be proud. I feel like we did really good, and I feel like I actually have some authority to speak on the awards this year. And so we're going to go over some of the categories that we thought were interesting, some of the biggest snubs, some of the biggest wins, the surprises, who we were rooting for, who we would have picked. But I do want to start just very quickly going over the award show itself. All the discourse that comes with it. It's maybe, unfortunately, the worst part of the awards every year. And we'll get this out of the way first, actually. It's just the discourse. Man, does
Yeah.
it get toxic. Man, does it
Mhm.
get just people start reaching for anything. The Timothee Chalamet ballet nonstop takes were just, we didn't need that. Everyone
What's
could have
that
just saved
about?
that.
What
Yeah,
happened with that? What
I
happened?
don't even want to tell you. I don't even want to tell you because I don't even want to go back over it. But
My
it's
gosh,
just,
yeah.
I can't believe that dominated Twitter for as long as it did. And it just kind of, we talked about it. You guys got to touch grass. We got to touch grass at some point.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
the discourse is toxic. I always say comparison is the thief of joy, and unfortunately, that's what these awards force us to do. And it can be very fun. It can be super fun to compare movies and things, but you got to do it responsibly. And unfortunately, human nature, we just can't do it responsibly. Everyone's got to be toxic. There's got to be a villain. There's got to be, you got to slander one movie to lift up your own.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
overall, how was your feeling entering the 98th Academy Awards with the discourse, with the conversations?
Man, I mean, something that made me feel a little bit better is just that fact. I mean, going back to the Timothy stuff, it's okay. The voting ended before all of that
Yeah.
discourse started, so that made me feel a little bit better. Just knowing that hopefully didn't have an effect in that way. But going in, I mean, I was really excited. I thought that this award season was so much better than last year's. No offense, just
Mm.
with the movies and
Amelia
the categories.
Perez.
Amelia Perez, my favorite from last year. No, I'm so glad that we didn't have something like that again. And I was happy that Conan was back to host. I thought he did an amazing job last year, and I was excited to see what they were gonna do. Yeah, I was positive, because there were a lot of categories that I felt like, okay, if my number one pick didn't win, I wasn't going to be super, super sad about it because there was, my second or third pick that I would have been happy with. So yeah.
Yeah, it was a banger year for movies. Like, I have no problem
Yeah.
saying that. With most of these categories, I was pretty happy with like three or four different people winning, three or four
Hmm.
different movies winning. I know it kind of became one battle after another versus Sinners, which we'll talk about that at some point here. But like, there were just this year was stacked. Every category felt
Hmm.
stacked. Outside of Best Actress, I guess, which seems like Jessie Buckley just ran away with it from the start. We didn't see
Yeah.
Hamnet, so we can't really speak on it. But apparently, she just dominated. So shout out to her. And yeah, you mentioned Conan O'Brien hosting. Like, I think he does a really fine job. I was surprised to see a lot of people kind of thought that he was cringy, or like the host was lame. And it just, I don't know, it feels like every award show is going to feel a little cringy at points. It's just kind of
Hmm.
hard to host an award show. And I thought Conan perfectly threaded that needle of like, we're here to celebrate the art, but we're also going to have some fun with it, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Jimmy
Hmm.
Kimmel, I thought Jimmy Kimmel coming off the bench, giving like 5 minutes was pretty solid. I was like, okay, he's got some charm to him, and they took him out of the game before he had a chance to mess it up, right? Conan, though, he did everything. Or sorry, let me go back to Jimmy. This is where I was taking it. When Jimmy hosted, his jokes felt a little cruel. It felt a little like, hey, aren't we supposed to be celebrating this? Conan didn't have that problem, and I'm cool with him hosting moving forward. Like he's been the best
Same.
host in recent memory for me. So I really enjoyed him. I thought the opening with the weapons gag was really good.
So good.
It was perfect. Him going through each movie, running around like Gladys. And yeah, like outside of a few moments where maybe they played certain people off the stage a little too early and it was awkward in that sense. I thought they did a great job with the awards. And they started a bit earlier than I expected. I think it ran for 3.5 hours, which is maybe a little bit long, but hey, at the end of the day, I thought the pace was pretty good and it moved pretty fast.
Yeah, I do want to say one thing about the pacing. It's just I wish they had kind of cut down some of the bits. I was a big fan of a lot of the bits in the show. I mean, I love the YouTube bit because the Oscars are moving to YouTube in 2029. So I thought that was really funny and a ton more. But there were some that just felt a little too long. And I was like, okay, I would rather have that go to longer speeches, because you want to give those people an opportunity. The bridesmaid bit, yeah, there was one. I have to mention this. I'm not the first one to say it. The Marvel bit with Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans. No offense, a lot of people said it didn't land super great. It was kind of awkward. But yeah, it's just because it's kind of a bummer to see, especially so many of these categories, the nominees, there's more than one, right? And so when someone wins, you're going to have a whole group, maybe 2 or 3, go up there. And so, just to give at least 2 people in that group a chance to really say what they want to say, I would appreciate that more. So instead of the jokes, but overall pacing wasn't horrible. So
yeah, because like at the end of the day, we're here to see the winners and what they have to say. So that should be the front, that should be at the front of everything. Cutting them off early just seems like we were talking about it when we were watching it yesterday. Yeah. Feels like there has to be an easier way to do this than being so like kind of disrespectful with playing them off or like having the microphone disappear on them. It's like we can be more normal about that. And we're going to get into the actual categories in just a second, but a few other quick notes. One, let's get this. Let's talk about this because you mentioned this, that you were seeing tweets about this, and I didn't see that many, but I saw a few. Some people had some really weird takes on the in memoriam from this year, and specifically the speeches that were given. And I'm just gonna say this, and this might sound like I'm coming off a little hot and aggressive, but I just feel like it is so. I wish I could find the right word. I was thinking about this before we started recording, and I still don't know what word to use, but it feels so arrogant to judge because like the people who were giving speeches knew the people who had passed away personally in their life. That was their friend who passed, and they are now trying to give a speech to honor and remember their friend in front of a live crowd on TV, and to sit at home on Twitter and be like, that was kind of cringe. The most arrogant loser thing in the world. It is not your place to tell someone how to honor their friend. So I just had to say that.
Oh, no, I'm right there with you. I mean, a lot of these tweets and a lot of these takes, which I thought were very silly, were about Barbara Streisand in particular and her speech honoring Robert Redford. And I'm a huge Robert Redford fan. I heard that this was going to happen, so I was really looking forward to it. And I love the in memoriam. I thought they did a great job. But a lot of people were saying, oh, wow, like, why did she make that all about her? And it's like, well, she's talking about an experience that she had with one of her lifelong friends. She's saying how much, multiple times, she was talking about how much she respected him, how much she loved him. And the reason she was talking about herself was because she mentioned how there's this one nickname, Babs, that she hates so much. But she loves Robert so much. He was such a charming man. He meant so much to her that he was technically like the only one allowed to use that nickname with her. So that's why she was talking about herself. And not everyone, but a lot of people on Twitter were like, she had to make it about herself. And it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, again, we're going back to go touch grass. Please just go touch grass.
People just need to be more normal. And I know that
Yeah.
sounds very vague in general, but like sometimes before you tweet something or get a takeoff, you just have to ask yourself, like, am I being a normal person right now? Or am I being a
Right.
little deranged? Because if you have a
Yeah.
problem with Barbara Streisand giving like personal anecdotes from her experiences and
Yeah.
relationship with Robert Redford, maybe just try to be a little bit more normal. Doesn't seem like a normal thing to do. I got one
Mhm.
more note. And then obviously, as we talk about these categories, if there's anything else that comes to mind from the actual award show, please feel free to chime in. But one of the biggest things in the night, how'd you feel about Leonardo DiCaprio's mustache? New look for
I
Leo.
love it. I love it. I'm such a huge fan. Oh my gosh. You know what? It was worth the sacrifice of Pedro Pascal's mustache, I think.
It was. It was. And they showed Leo on screen, and I literally beat you to the punch. I said, he looks good before you could even say
Yeah.
it. Like, I
Yeah.
beat you. So listen, I saw a tweet about this too, and I agree. Leo for like 7 straight years just decided to be ugly for no reason. And now
Yeah.
he's like, wow, he still got it. So shout out to
Yeah.
him. I'm glad that he
Mhm.
decided to be good looking again. Not that it matters, but I was like, okay,
But
man still
it's
got it.
it's a plus. It's a plus.
Yeah.
We'll never forget the Revenant man bun era though. Wow, good times. Good
Some
times.
of us might forget. But anyways, let's go ahead. And like I said, if you have any notes, feel free. But let's just get into these categories now. We're
Yeah,
going to go
let's
in the
see.
order that it's listed on the Academy's website. And it starts off with a banger. It starts off with what I would say was probably the most stacked category. It's actor in a leading role. This is one of those categories that I think we were both referencing when we said we had multiple potential winners who we would have been happy with. Michael B. Jordan gets the win. What's your
Mhm.
reaction to that?
I was very happy. I will be honest though, Timothée Chalamet was my number one pick. I was on that train. But again, going back to what I said in the beginning, this was one of those categories where I was like, you know what? I'm going to be happy either way. So, shout out, congrats to Michael B. Jordan. You know, he did a phenomenal job in Sinners. So,
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Timmy would have been my first pick, and I want to go more in depth on him in a second, but Michael B. Jordan, I couldn't have been happier that he ended up winning this. I can't believe the Academy actually did something cool. Like that was like the coolest pick they could have made. Just because I feel like that type of role in that type of movie does not get nominated, let alone win Best Actor. Like horror historically has been snubbed. I believe I should have pulled this up to fact check, but I think there have only been 8 actors who have ever won an Oscar for their role in a horror movie. And we had 2 of them last night alone, Michael B. Jordan and Amy Madigan, which we'll get to. That's a fourth of the winners ever in one night. And so that type of role just doesn't get nominated. And you might remember, but when we left Sinners, seeing it on opening night, we were in the car, and I remember saying, do you think Michael B. Jordan has a chance? Like, do you think they'll actually nominate him? And I was like, probably not. I probably don't think there's any chance the Academy will actually recognize
no.
that performance. But I was like, man, it'd be awesome if they did. And to see him not only get nominated, but then end up winning the award for what is a very awesome role. And yes, he played twins, which I know people made a big fuss out of. Like that part's cool. That's not the most impressive thing to me, though. It's not like a gimmicky, oh, we played 2 people award. Like he gave a really good performance as
Mhm.
both Smoke and Stack inside of a really great movie. And I just think he absolutely deserved it. Like there's 3 or 4 people in this category. I would say 4 people in this category who I 100% would have said deserve to win. Ethan Hawke, I didn't see Blue Moon, so I can't speak
Yeah,
on that. But
same. Yeah.
Timothée Chalamet, like we said, both we would have had him as our number one pick. I just think his performance in Marty Supreme is the one of the best, if not the best performance of his career. I think that he carries that movie entirely on his back. Now, there's lots of other great things about that movie, other supporting roles and everything, but like it all focuses and centers on Marty in a way that Sinners, for example, like Michael B. Jordan's awesome, but there's so much more to Sinners than the Smoke and
Yeah.
Stack character. You could almost argue they aren't even the main character in his own movie. Marty Supreme is literally about Marty Supreme. So I
Mhm.
would have played Timmy. I think he gives you a wider range of emotions. I think you get some really awesome performances or really awesome moments in that performance and some really great nuance in how his character behaves and grows throughout the movie. Leonardo DiCaprio, we'll talk about one battle after another when we get to some of the later
Mhm.
categories. Listen, he's just the type of actor where I'm like, he should have 10 of these things by now. So anytime he
Mhm.
delivers like a really good performance, if he ends up winning, I'd like, sure, give it to Leo. Like, he deserves it. He should have had a couple of these by now. With that said, not my favorite performance of the year for sure. And then Wagner Moura, just to talk about him for a second, would have been ecstatic if he won this award. Would have been my second pick, maybe third pick, out of Timmy, Michael B. Jordan, and then Wagner Moura probably would have been second or third there. He is so good in The Secret Agent. It's a very subtle performance. It's very, very subtle, but it's so effective, and he's just so charming on screen. And that movie to me really captivated me. And I know it's maybe recency bias because I just saw it, but breathtaking performance. He was so, so good in that, and didn't end up winning, but I'm happy he was nominated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm so excited to watch this movie. And I know you and I talked about this separately, but like the subtle performances, those are the ones that can get very, very difficult to do. So props to him. And yeah.
Yeah. Moving on, the next one here, I think we'll go relatively quick on this one. Actor in a supporting role. Now, I'm going to come out and say, and I want to hear your take, obviously. I think this is probably the most disappointed we were all night. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Listen, no disrespect to Sean Penn. Maybe he deserves it. I don't know. But like, just not, it wouldn't have been anywhere near my top favorite supporting role this year. Wouldn't have been nominated if it were up to me. I don't think he's the best supporting performance in his own movie. Would have given that to Benicio del Toro. And I think we both kind of leaned in something that's a bit of an unpopular take, but I think we both leaned towards Jacob Elordi in this.
Oh yeah.
Category.
Oh yeah.
I want to hear from you, like, what about Jacob Elordi as Frankenstein's monster was like, this rocks, I need him to win?
I mean, makeup and prosthetics and everything aside, the fact that we know the story of Frankenstein, we know what's going to happen, we know about the creature, but just watching this movie, I don't even know how else to explain it. He just did such a great job. I feel like he was almost so like tender and caring with the character of the creature, and just his range in performance from, the caring and kinder side of the creature versus that infinite rage that he has, and the way that he bounced off Oscar Isaac and Mia Goth. And I was just astounded because I have not watched a lot of performances by Jacob Elordi before this. I didn't watch Euphoria. This was before Wuthering Heights, so I wasn't super familiar with him, and just blew my mind. I'm so sad that he did not win this one. I was really, really hoping for it, but glad he was nominated, but I will avenge him somehow.
Yeah, and I want to talk about Jacob too. I do want to quickly shout out though, like Benicio del Toro 100% would have been deserving. Delroy Lindo might have been my pick. I would have had to choose between him and Jacob. I really like Delroy was so damn good in Sinners. And Stellan Skarsgård, who I know was a favorite for a decent chunk of this race. Neither one of us saw sentimental value, so I don't know. I trust that Skarsgård gave a good performance because he's a great actor, but hard for us to talk too much about that. But on Jacob, you mentioned like the makeup and prosthetics, which we'll get to a little bit later. I know it's funny to say he disappeared into a role when he's like literally covered in makeups and prosthetics and like just looks unrecognizable, but he disappeared into the role to where even just him walking, his mannerisms, everything that he's doing, especially early on when he's first like arrives in the movie, you believe that that's a person that was just stitched together and brought back to life. He has so many just little mannerisms in the way that he blinks and the way that he's looking at the world and he's walking and it's kind of like lopsided and it's like it's almost like he's walking and there's 5 different body parts that belong to different bodies that are trying to like come together. And you see this growth over the course of this movie from him being like a baby deer to now he's becoming smarter and he's moving more confidently and he becomes that like monstrous thing that we, expect to see. And I said this, we got to see Frankenstein in theaters, which by the way, I'll save some more Frankenstein thoughts for a little bit later actually, but seeing it in theater definitely elevated it for me. Can't believe that it didn't just get like a full-on theatrical release, but he was awesome. And I would have loved if he won the award. Again, Sean Penn was just like the least exciting, least interesting performance to me. So I'm a little bummed out that he won that. Moving on, actress in a leading role. I don't think we have much to say about this because we literally didn't see any of the movies besides Begonia. With that said, Emma Stone would have been my pick because it's the only movie I saw.
Kate Hudson would have been my pick for Song of Song.
Can't hate you. Can't hate you for that.
No,
actress in a supporting role. Oof. This was another stacked category. I am just so happy that Amy Madigan won. I was so happy. Another one of those performances where I'm like, that was awesome when I watched it. Sucks that the Oscars probably have there's zero chance they're going to recognize it. And then to see that she actually got recognized, not only being nominated, but winning, just blew me away. I'm so happy for her. So happy for horror being recognized. And the one thing that I want to say about this performance, this Weapons relies or leans on her so heavily in the second half of the movie to where if you get a different person in that role and she doesn't knock it out of the park as Aunt Gladys, you end up with just a good, fine movie. But the fact that she elevates this movie from being something that's already good to halfway through the movie, you get introduced to an instant classic, iconic horror villain. I mean, that to me is the definition of actress in a supporting role that wins the award. You took this movie and not only did you support it, but you elevated it to the heights that it eventually reached. She is an instantly iconic character. She goes from terrifying to kind of funny to just like this wide range of emotions that you see from her and the way that she behaves. And it sticks with you in a way that, again, haven't seen every single actress's performance on this, specifically the two sentimental value ones. But like that one, Amy Madigan's performance will stick with me forever. And that's not to say that the other performances aren't great, but that one really stood out. I'm just so happy that the Academy recognized it.
Yeah. I do have to say, I haven't watched Weapons. Hopefully you and I will watch it together so you can tell me when I can look away because I'm not good with horror. But I will say I am so happy just, for the horror fans and the horror genre, just getting more acclaim and more, notice now because it's served it all along. But with that being said, because I haven't watched Weapons or Sentimental Value, my number one pick was Wunmi Mosaku from Sinners. I thought she was just phenomenal in that movie. Tiana Taylor, I didn't think she was bad in One Battle After Another. She wasn't in it that much. It didn't really leave that much of a impression on, like, she was good, but I thought that Wunmi in Sinners was much better.
Similar to Sean Penn, I don't think she was even the best supporting actress in her own movie, is what it is. Listen, I have just a little bit of heat for One Battle After Another that I'm trying to save, but I just don't. I wouldn't say that Tiana Taylor was bad. I would say that I didn't like the way that she was written, and I understand that movie characters don't have to be like, I don't have to agree with the character or how they're portrayed, but it just felt a little weird the way her character was written, and I didn't particularly like the performance all that much. We'll get to more One Battle After Another in a second. Skipping through a lot of the documentary, short films, animated stuff, like I have no issue with any of those categories. We didn't see them. You can only watch so much.
We didn't have time. Yeah.
Casting. Now, can you tell me, this is the first year that casting was an award, right?
It's a brand new award, yes.
It's a brand new award. So with that said, it's interesting to see like which way they're going to go with this, how they determine like what, because One Battle After Another wins. And to me, like that's fine. To me, it had an amazing cast, but let's compare that to something like Marty Supreme or The Secret Agent, for example, where Marty Supreme, Josh Safdie, kind of unfortunately now known for casting people who aren't actually actors. And if you are aware of the controversy, there's a reason why you got to cast the right people and have certain safety guidelines and everything there. But the reason why I mention that is because you have One Battle After Another who, the cast is awesome, but it's also like the easiest layup of a cast ever. Like, oh yeah, you casted Leonardo DiCaprio. Of course, that's good. You casted Benicio del Toro and all these other great actors. Like, well, duh. And I almost wonder, like, should casting more so be like those hidden gems that you found and uncovered, like in Marty Supreme, in The Secret Agent, who there are some great actors in there who aren't very well known, at least by American standards. And I think from what I was reading, even Brazilian standards, like the Donna Sebastian character. I'm so sorry I cannot think of the actress's name, but she is an elderly woman who this is like her breakout role. Should you get more credit for that? I don't know. And then even Sinners also had an incredible ensemble cast with some new people making their first
Yeah.
appearances. I would have leaned towards one of those films. But like, yeah, I mean, one battle after another. You get Leo, Benicio del Toro, all these amazing
Right.
actors. Even Sean Penn, who I know we just kind of dissed, but like great actor. It's
Yeah.
hard to
Yeah.
be like that's doesn't deserve it. But what was your thoughts on casting? How do you feel about what I just laid out there?
I agree with you for the most part. I will give her flowers for giving Chase Infinity her breakout role, which was
Oh yes, good.
Chase
Thank you for
Infinity
mentioning that.
deserved a nomination.
Yeah.
Deserved just as the same way that Miles deserved a nomination for Sinners. But I will give Cassandra her flowers for finding Chase Infinity because she
I'm
knocked it
glad
out
you
of the
mentioned
park. She was like my favorite part of that movie, in addition to Leo's comedic timing and his scenes. But yeah, I agree with you. Marty Supreme, I feel like the casting was just so well done for that because it's kind of like you also have to find, I mean, like you said, the sides with Josh Safdie and the controversy.
Yeah.
That is very important, but it's also, I feel like with that movie, you kind of have to find actors who don't have iPhone face if it's going to take place in the 50s. And I thought he did really well. I'm thinking of the coworker, Marty's coworker in the shoe shop.
He's
it's
like,
like
I'm
that man is the
literally
exact
holding a gun to
opposite.
you.
Yeah, right. An exact opposite of iPhone face. So yeah. But those were my thoughts on that.
Yeah. I mean that's basically our thoughts on the casting here. We'll move on. I'm gonna save the Marty Supreme talk and some of like the Frankenstein stuff when we get to Best Picture at the end here. Cinematography. Now, when Sinners pulled this off, I started to let myself have hope that maybe they could pull off the Best Picture win. And if we haven't said it yet, well, at least speaking for myself, Sinners was my favorite movie of last year. I thought it should have won Best Picture. I think you might go a slightly different route, and we can save that for Best Picture. But I had accepted that one battle after another was going to win. But when Sinners pulled out cinematography, I said to myself, now, wait a second. I didn't expect them to get it. Now, they were clearly a contender for cinematography. It is a beautifully shot film, but I kind of assumed that Train Dreams was going to take it. Or maybe even one battle after another. Like I wasn't sure if Sinners was going to pull it off. So happy they did, and it's the first woman to win this award. And so I'll let you speak on that because I think you might be a little more equipped to talk about that.
98 years. The Oscars have been going on for 98 years, and this is the first woman to win this award, which is crazy to say, but I am just so happy for her. And she's the first woman of color too to win this award. And I just it's so inspiring to see that, and I'm just so happy for her. In that moment, I think that was one of my favorite moments of the Oscars because she was announced as the winner. We see Ryan Coogler bringing her son out closer to the stage so that he can see his mom give her speech. It was just such a wonderful moment, and I'm so happy that she won because Sinners was just such a gorgeous movie. So beautifully shot.
So many shots from that movie. Yeah. I definitely think Sinners deserved it. Probably would have given it to Train Dreams because that was just a gorgeous movie, and like the whole movie is almost cinematography, which I actually do want to say it kind of undercuts the movie in a way because it really is more than just the cinematography. I've seen people kind of argue that all it is just like beautiful shots, and like the story is really impactful to me. So I don't want to just dismiss it as just being like the cinematography film because it's more than that. But that was the one award that I thought it could actually win, and it didn't. Moving on, costume design. Here's where we get to some of the Frankenstein wins. And listen, I love Frankenstein. I know you love Frankenstein. I think it deserved every single Oscar it won last night. It absolutely deserved costume design. If not just for the fit that they threw on Jacob as Frankenstein with that, like, I don't even know what it was. It was some sort of fur. He looked awesome.
Yeah.
Everyone in the movie looked awesome.
Badass.
You love Frankenstein more than me, so I want to let you cook on this, but I don't know how much there is to say about the costume design. Do you have any notes on that?
Every single one of Mia Goth's outfits. Her as Frankenstein's mom in the beginning. Spoiler, she plays the same character, but though that costume, and then just her as, is her name Elizabeth? I'm blanking. I'm a fake fan.
I believe
Elizabeth. Oh my goodness. There is one shot in that movie that it just I feel like showcases her how well the costumes are done, because she is in a crowd, right? It's raining, they're in the town, and all around her everything is just gray and bleak, and you just see her walking through the crowd in this gorgeous, vibrant dress and costume. I don't know what other word to use.
Yeah.
But it was just like it was just incredibly well made. And I saw the other day there was a picture of her wedding dress, and I didn't even notice this, but there was a design added that made it look like they were moth wings. And in the movie, she loves insects. Those are one of her she's just fascinated by them. And I thought that was such a nice touch. I mean, blew me away. It's gorgeous. Every single thing that they're wearing in this movie is beautiful. So yeah.
Agreed. I think it definitely deserved it. I'd say, just shout out the other nominees. They were all pretty good. Avatar, Fire and Ash confused me a little bit. Not sure. So much CGI. I'm not sure how that works. Marty Supreme maybe should have won just for the red gloves that Marty's wearing at one point, but that's another day, another story for another day. Now this goes straight to Best Director, which or the directing award, which I would have liked to save for a little bit later, but we'll get it over right now. Yeah. Paul Thomas Anderson wins it for one battle after another. And listen, here's the thing. I think this was Ryan Coogler's award. Would have given it to him in a heartbeat. Sue me. I don't think it's even particularly close. I think PTA not having an award up to this point is kind of the reason why he was gifted this one. Now, he's certainly deserving. It was a really good movie, and it's good. It's well directed. I understand that, but it's just one of those situations where, hey, maybe if you just give the guy the award when he deserves it, we wouldn't be stuck in this perpetual cycle of having to give makeup awards. And I don't want to get too carried away saying it was a makeup award, because I do think a lot of people just genuinely believe PTA deserved it this year. But I also think part of that played a role in, like, how has this guy not won yet? We need to give him one. And the problem is, when you do stuff like that, we're going to be looking back 10, 20 years from now. Hopefully we don't do this, but we could be looking back and saying, how does Ryan Coogler not have an Oscar yet? Right. For Best Director. It's just, it's one of those things that seems to happen. Again, can't say it enough. I understand there are plenty of people that just straight up think he believes it. And if that's your opinion, that's your opinion. It's all good. I think Ryan Coogler should have won it, and I don't think it's super close, but how did you feel?
Right there with you. I also wanted Ryan to win. And I will say, just this isn't super important, but I wish Guillermo was in the running as well. I do think it's a little unfair that he was taken out, because it's like, if your movie's going to be nominated for Best Picture and all these other categories, he's a great director. It was confusing that he wasn't included. But yeah, Ryan was my number one pick.
Yeah. And you know what? Since you mentioned Guillermo and Frankenstein, I want to have this conversation now about Frankenstein. I said this to you after we watched it in theaters. I actually think, because it's such a classic story, that it worked against Frankenstein in just really the discourse this year, because everyone is so familiar with the character, with the story, with the aesthetic, all of that. It's very easy to be like, oh, I've seen this before. I already know where this is all going to go. And I think that if, that's understandable, but I think if you're able to watch this on its own, I have to go back and rewatch some of the classic adaptations, but I feel comfortable saying this is the best Frankenstein adaptation we've ever had. Guillermo del Toro seems like he was put on earth to adapt Frankenstein. That seems to be like his calling. And he did it with so much love. And every single part of the movie was crafted in such a personal way, it felt like. And I know there's people out there who really hate this movie, and I just don't understand why. I almost think because it's a Netflix release, it gets that like slop reputation, despite the fact that it is very much not slop. This is a very pretty looking film with some good performances. And I also just think, people say, oh, Oscar Isaac's overacting. He's Dr. Frankenstein. You can't be subtle as Dr. Frankenstein.
You have to be crazy. You have to be crazy.
He is the mad scientist. Yeah. He is the I don't know if he's the original mad scientist, but he is like the iconic mad scientist. You can't undersell that. And so I know you love this movie. Would this have been your pick for Best Picture?
It's all so very close. Yeah. But I think so. Especially after watching it again in the theater. I mean, I love this movie.
It was great. It wasn't my pick for best picture, but it was great. And I just think like I really truly believe that because it's such a classic story and we've seen it a million times, it works against it. Because I think on its own, it was an incredible film.
Mhm.
Moving on here, I'm gonna skip. Well, no, we don't have to skip this. Film editing. Um, One battle after another wins. I want to hear your takes on this because you are the
Mhm.
editor. The nominees, it was One Battle After Another, F1, Marty Supreme, Sentimental Value, and Sinners. Obviously, we did not see Sentimental Value, but do you have a
Mhm.
strong take on this one?
You know, I this is going to be such a wishy-washy answer, but uh, not including sentimental value because we haven't watched it. I feel like
Mm,
each one of these movies, there's something where I'm like, okay, the editing was really well done, especially with that part. Like one battle after another, the infamous like hill sequence that I thought
yeah.
that was really well done. F1,
Mm,
the racetrack, feeling like you're there, all that, like including sound design. I don't know. This is a tough one. It's a tough one. I think if I remember correctly, I was leaning toward maybe F1 just because of the technical aspects of it, in the car, out the car on the racetrack, or Marty Supreme with those chase scenes. It's a tough category for me, to be honest.
yeah, it's tough, and I don't feel too strongly any direction. Like, I think One Battle After Another winning to me is fine. F1, like those race scenes, it's hard to pull off those scenes and have them feel as exciting as they are if the editing isn't amazing, which it absolutely is. Marty
Mhm.
Supreme, same thing with like the ping pong scenes. Like, did I
Yeah,
ever
yeah.
think in a million years that I would feel that tense watching a ping pong game? The sound, the score, all that plays a role, but like the editing is huge for that. Again, haven't seen Sentimental Value. I will say for Sinners, great editing throughout. The ending scene of the, last time I saw my brother, last time I saw the sun, like the editing on that,
Yeah,
it's not super flashy, but goddamn, is it impactful. The
so
only
powerful.
thing, oh, sorry, the only thing, this is going to be the only bad thing I say about Sinners. All right. I
Mhm.
think the editing in the barn scene when they're fighting the vampires was a little clunky. And I think it's partly the choreography of that scene. I think there's just too many damn vampires and not enough people for it to look believable. Like they're all like going one at a time. And I think it's
Mhm.
the choreography more, but the editing also wasn't great. So it's the only thing that like I'd love to push the Sinners propaganda, but I have to be honest, I don't think it deserved editing.
Yeah. Oh, you just took me back to the first time that we saw the movie together. I remember you telling me this about that specific sequence.
Got a little
Yeah.
clunky, just a little bit,
Mhm,
and I think it's
mhm.
more like a choreographical. Is that a word?
I don't know, but
I think
I
it's more
hope it
of it.
is.
I think it's more of that. And again, I think the root of the problem just comes back to there's like 30 vampires and 5 people, and
Yeah.
it's hard to
Yeah.
make a convincing fight between under those numbers. But regardless, one battle wins. International feature film. We'll go very quickly on this because
Mhm.
I'm the only one who's seen any of these movies, and I've only seen one of them. Secret Agent would have been my pick. I'm biased, but I loved
Mhm.
it.
Nice. Nice.
Skipping through makeup and hairstyling. We talked about Frankenstein already. We haven't seen all of these movies, but I
Mhm.
would have given it to Frankenstein. I'd have to imagine you would have too.
Yes, yes. 400 hours in that chair Jacob
Whew.
Elordi spent for
Yeah.
that makeup, so give it to them.
Did you see when they stood up to accept the award, Jacob's reaction?
I did, yes. If I
He
remember
was
it, didn't he
so
hug them? He was so happy.
he stood up and he hugged them. He
Mhm,
was so happy, and as you mentioned, he was sitting in that chair for a really long time. And you have
mhm.
to imagine he had some sort of like, he had to have been rooting for them just as hard, right? Like he was
Yeah.
right there with them. And so shout out to them. Like I really love the way Frankenstein looked in this movie. And I wasn't sure if I was going to on the first reveal. I just have that, like, you have the classic image of Frankenstein in your mind, and they took it a different
Mhm.
direction, but goddamn, it was awesome. And
So
yeah,
good.
just everything, all the makeup, the hairstyling, it was great. Obviously, Sinners was great for this. The Smashing
Mhm.
Machine, they made The Rock look very different, so I'll give them credit for that.
There you go. Yeah.
And I also heard The Ugly Stepsister was good. But moving along
Mhm.
here, and this is taking a little bit longer than I expected. So sorry, I know you have work in the morning, so we'll get this wrapped up
It's
soon.
all good.
Music, original score. This is the award that I said at the start. Been saying it for a while. They could have given this to Sinners the day after it released. This should have been like, to me, this is the strongest I felt about any category. If Sinners didn't win, I would have rioted. It is the most obvious, like straightforward, give it to Sinners award of all time. Did you agree? It's okay if you felt a little differently, but
if Daniel Shopatin, if he was in the running, that is the guy
Marty,
who made the score for Marty. If he was in the running, that would have changed things. That would have made it a little bit tougher. But I'm a Ludwig stan. Day one, not really day one, but I'm here for him. So
yeah. Shout out to Ludwig, going from producing for Childish Gambino to winning 3 Oscars for original score. Which, by the way, producing for Childish Gambino is not like a bad thing, but just you don't expect it to get even better from there,
right?
And absolutely deserved it. Moving on to original songs, these go kind of hand in hand. Now listen, I'll say it. I'll be the first to admit it. Golden is a bop. I think it's a bop. It's a really good song. I think it's fine that it won, given the awards. I understand the awards are supposed to reflect how we felt at the time. And right now, Golden is a bop. A year from now, 10 years from now, 100 years from now, we're going to look back and be like, how the hell did I lie to you, not win this? And it's kind of true. Listen, Golden, as much as it's a bop, it is a generic pop song. That's all it really is. It's just a generic pop song. Not only is I Lied to You more interesting and creative and just more impressive on like a technical level, because you're mashing all these different, time periods of music and getting them all to work. And you have this incredible performance from Miles Canton. And it's so awesome hearing the different time periods mix into like that final ending where it's like almost haunting and everything. And not only do you get all that, right? But then thematically, this is the Academy Awards. Like, we're talking about movies. We're not just talking about the song. Thematically, by far the most important song of any of these to its own movie. I would argue not only is this the best song, original song of the year, I think it's the best original song of probably the decade and one of the best of all time. Like, I just don't really see, I don't want to be too strong, but I don't really see the argument against it. Not only is it impressive on a technical standpoint, but it's also so relevant to the movie that it quite literally delivers one of the best scenes, if not the best scene of all time, in my opinion. Not the best scene of all time, best musical scene of all time. Like, that sequence is incredible. And the last thing I'll say about it, and I want to hear your thoughts, is I also want to give I Lied to You credit for pulling off something that's not as easy as it probably sounds. Like, the idea of taking all these different time periods and eras of music and mashing them together, you could have done that in a way that felt corny and cheesy, and I thought it worked amazingly. So what did you think?
Oh yeah. Well, for starters, I'm going to sound like a hater. I don't know if it's because I heard it too much. Not a big fan of Golden. No offense. But you know what? It gets in your head. But I think maybe I've heard it too much and I'm kind of like over it. But I haven't seen K-pop Demon Hunters, so I don't know how it plays into the story there. I Lied to You. I mean, Tony, you just said pretty much everything that I was thinking. My God, what a song and what a sequence. And yeah, I wish it had won. And it is what it is, though. But
yeah. It should have won, and all due respect to K-pop Demon Hunters, I feel like we would both enjoy it if we watched it. I've heard nothing but good things, so it's really not meant to diss them. I just listen, I Lied to You. Like I said, I really think it's one of the best musical sequences ever, especially for a non-musical, which I know Sinners is kind of like a musical, but you know what I mean. I guess the last nominee or last category we have left is the big one, Best Picture. And I want to start off. Oh, sorry. Wait, they put this.
That's weird.
In a weird order. Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't put it last.
You would assume. So fact check. This is not the last category, but we can go very quickly on these other ones. Production design. We already kind of hyped up Frankenstein. I mean, it looked awesome. And I saw the ship that takes place in the movie was actually practical.
Yes.
I mean, that's
no CGI. So good.
So good. And I also thought like other like Marty Supreme, the time period, like they did a fantastic job. Sinners,
Mhm,
lots of
mhm.
good category or nominees in that category. Sound F1, we're F1 defenders on this
We are.
podcast.
We are.
The sound was great. Like I don't know what else to say. The sound was great. I think that's very deserving. VFX, Avatar, Fire and Ash. Did you have any disagreement with that?
No. No.
Writing, adapted screenplay,
Oh my
one
god.
battle after another wins. You would have liked Frankenstein in this place, I'm gonna guess.
Let me just say, I don't get it. I really don't. The snippet that they showed snippets of like the script and everything in order of the nominees. The difference between Frankenstein, Hamnet, Train Dreams versus One Battle After Another, and Begonia, excuse me. I was flabbergasted. I don't even know what other word to use because it just felt like, no offense, such a downgrade. And I'm like, this is what
Mm.
one, I'm sorry. I know I sound like a hater, but
It's okay. We're here to give our takes. And
one, can I say one more thing
sure.
about One Battle After Another in this?
Yeah.
You know why I didn't want them to win? Um, I will never forgive them for that weird name that they gave to that weird cult. Do you remember that? Something with Christmas
Oh, Christmas Adventures. Yeah.
took me right out. It should have been a goner after that, but
Yeah.
that's my opinion.
Yeah, there were some choices in there that I thought were a little bit weird. Original screenplay, Sinners takes it. Can't argue with
Mhm,
that. I thought Marty Supreme is
mhm.
very strong as well, but Sinners comes home with that. Now, Best Picture, we'll do this and then we can wrap up, and I'll let you get some sleep and get ready for work in the morning.
Heck yeah.
Best Picture, I want to go through a couple of these in just a different order. Train Dreams, we both watched somewhat recently, and we both loved it. I think in a weaker year, this is a more serious contender. Never felt like it had a chance, but really great film, in my opinion.
Mhm,
Um, Sentimental Value, we did not see. The Secret Agent would have been my third favorite film this year out of the Best Picture nominees. Marty Supreme would have been my second. I just think an absolute thrill ride through and through. It's unfortunate. I do want to talk about Marty and Timothy very quickly because I think this is the aspect of the awards that sometimes bothers me, and just the campaign season, how it becomes very personal. It sounds like a lot of people took offense to Timothy being a bit arrogant. And what I would just say is having belief in yourself and being confident and having more of an athlete's mentality in a field that obviously doesn't really appreciate that as much. This is, artists are supposed to be humble and you almost like bow down to the academy. And Timmy
yeah,
wasn't really doing that. And I think that hurt him in both the best actor category. And I think it hurt the movie Marty Supreme as a whole. Obviously, the controversy with Josh Safdie for what happened on Good Time also came up prior to the voting, which I think probably rightfully so impacted the voting. But when it comes to like the way that Timothy behaved and all that, I think allowing that type of stuff to plague your view of the movie does bother me because I'm like, hey man, we're supposed to be judging the movie themselves. Marty
mhm,
Supreme never felt like it had a chance of winning. I think it should have been in the discussion.
mhm. Yeah. Wait, so you didn't think it had a chance of winning at all?
No, it sounded
Really?
like it was one battle after another the entire way.
Yeah, yeah.
Sinners kind of like maybe got a little cute there, but to me, it sounded like one battle after another was going to win from the very day
Mhm.
it dropped.
What about F1?
Now let's talk about a movie. Listen, this is all I have to say about F1. You have to be able to have fun. Okay. You have
Mhm,
to be able to have fun. I think it's genuinely important for there to be representation for these type of crowd pleasing, entertaining films. Doesn't mean that
mhm,
every single year you have to force one in, but F1 belongs here. I'm sorry. Was it gonna win? No. It doesn't matter if it was gonna win or not.
mhm,
It
mhm,
belongs here, and I really do think the same way that if you're someone who like prefers the finer arts and you're just more of an artsy person and you hear the casual movie viewer be like, oh, I couldn't watch Train Dreams because it was too boring and slow. Like, yeah, that person's annoying and dumb. I think the inverse of that is true too, though, where you're like
Oh,
too
yeah.
snobby and snooty to like watch a fun crowd pleasing movie. It's like you gotta have to be able to do
Superman?
both.
Yeah,
Superman was
yeah.
awesome.
You need these kinds of movies. It's a balance. It's a balance. So
There's a
yeah.
balance, and F1 rocked, especially if you saw it in theaters. We hyped up
So
Frankenstein.
hmm
Do you have anything else on Frankenstein that you wanted to add?
man. Again, I think that at the end of the day, I feel like that was my number one pick. I just feel like I'm gonna sound really cliche and really cheesy. That's the one that I really was able to get lost in the most. I don't know why. I don't know.
No,
I don't know how else to explain it, but I just loved it so much.
that's the beauty of this stuff. And I think to go back to some of the discourse issues that we have is like, listen, if you're nominated for Best Picture, more often than not, that means your movie's probably pretty good. And I think
Mhm.
this need online, especially to pin these movies against each other and try to tear one down because you think it lifts the other one up, it just feels unnecessary. And I think we lose sight of a lot of the good qualities that these movies have. I've even been guilty of that myself with One Battle After Another because I think it's a really good movie. When I remove like the race for Best Picture, I can appreciate One Battle After Another much more than I do when I'm talking about that movie versus Sinners. When it's that versus Sinners, I'm like, it's not even close. But it's just like human nature to do that. And I think, some of the takes that we've seen on Frankenstein, or the reason why I thought of that is when you mentioned Frankenstein just clicking with you the most, having you getting lost in that world the most. Like that's a subjective thing that we have to remember. All of this is subjective and it comes down to personal taste. Like there's going to be
Mhm.
someone who listens to me hype up Sinners and sees the Sinners poster behind me and be like, this guy's an idiot. And it's like, well, I just I love the horror genre. I love the
Mhm.
commentary in the movie. It has a great score that clicked with me. Like, yeah, it's my personal favorite. So obviously that would have
Yeah.
been my pick. Um,
Mhm.
we had Begonia as the only other movie that hasn't been super discussed here. Jesse Plemons would have been nominated for me for
It's such a
probably
shame.
best actor. I don't know if it would be
Mhm.
considered a supporting role. Sometimes you get some category fraud, but he was great in that movie.
Mhm.
I also thought the score was great. I don't think I mentioned that. And I thought it was a really good movie. It's kind of up my alley. I'm a sicko. I like those like tense thriller movies. The
Yeah,
ending's a bit
yeah.
divisive, but I liked it. Was it going to win Best Picture? No, but I think it belongs here. And then finally, One Battle After Another. I do want to end by being positive about this movie because I know that we both have our issues with it. We neither one of
Yeah.
us wanted it to be the best picture, but it is a stacked cast. It has some really great moments. Chase Infinity, her debut, she's incredible. The entire middle run of that movie, with Bob trying to remember the rendezvous point and running across this rooftops, and he falls, and then he gets rescued, and he has to jump out of the car again. It's peak. It's awesome.
So good, so good. I will never get just him yelling, "Thank you, sensei," and then "Viva la
Yeah.
revolution." I can't say it in the
Yeah.
French way, but, just
Mm,
that whole sequence, and then Benicio going downstairs and having the carpet roll over that
yeah.
little door. I'm never gonna forget about that. So good.
Him yelling to get off the phone while Leonardo DiCaprio is trying to
Oh my
plug in his
god.
phone, but he's yelling at someone else. He's like, "I'm not on the phone." So good. It felt like maybe this sounds like I'm being dumb, but it felt Uncut Gems, Marty Supreme type of vibe. That entire sequence where it's just so like people are yelling over each other and misunderstanding each other, and it's chaos. And it's like I just
It's
love that part of the movie.
fast-paced. Yeah, yeah.
I
That was
really
my
loved
favorite.
it. Even Sean Penn, like, listen, was it my favorite performance? No, but there's some funny moments from it. Like, he's a good villain. It wasn't my favorite movie, and it is what it is. Do you have any other takes from the 98th Academy Awards?
Um, let's see. Hamnet. Didn't talk much about that, but I know it's because we haven't seen it yet. But that
Mm,
was also one I know a lot of people said was like kind of Oscar baity. I don't know. I thought that was gonna have a stronger, I guess, position maybe in the best
yes.
picture race.
Mm,
Yeah.
and I didn't mean to interrupt you there,
No,
but
no, no,
I
you're
think
good.
that hits the reason why I probably come across more negative about One Battle After Another than I truly want to, is because of what we kind of mentioned throughout this is that that movie came out and it felt like immediately the race was over. This is going to win. And I
Mhm.
just never felt like it was that caliber of film. I think it's a very good film, but it's not the one that ends all discussions. And I thought there was more of a discussion to be had with a Marty Supreme, with a Frankenstein, with Sinners, and even we haven't seen
Mhm.
Hamnet, but like with Hamnet, I feel like in other years those movies get more consideration, but this did feel
Mhm.
like a Paul Thomas Anderson, you're finally going to get your moment. Here's your shine type of thing. And it didn't click with me in that way. And it is what it is. There are other people who it did click with.
Yeah, yeah. At the end of the day, this is all subjective. That's the
Yeah.
beauty of it, even if I get annoyed by it sometimes. So, oh, I do want to say one more thing real quick about the Oscar show. And it's about the In Memoriam. Can I add one more thing? I don't know
Yeah,
if you've heard anything recently, but have you seen Jane Fonda's comments about the In Memoriam?
I did not.
There's some tea brewing. So, Jane Fonda is very well known. She was a longtime collaborator with Robert Redford. They did 4 movies together. They were also lifelong friends. And today she was asked about the In Memoriam, or last night, and she said something along the lines of, "Why didn't they call me? I did more movies with him. I spent more time with
Ooh.
him, and now there's some tea brewing." But I saw a very funny tweet that said, "He is just such a huge heartthrob. Even now, the girlies are fighting over him." Rest in peace, Robert Redford. I love you so much.
Yeah,
Had
that's
to throw that
funny.
in there.
That I'm glad you did. That was a funny
Mhm.
comment. Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't. Should they have hit her up? I don't know. I don't want to get too deep
I think
into that,
so.
but that was that was a funny tweet. And yeah,
Mhm.
I'm all in all, it's that bittersweet feeling of the awards show. The award season's over. 2025 is officially in the past. I think we both agree. Let's start doing this in February, maybe January. March feels too
Oh,
late for the
yeah.
awards.
Oh, yeah. Too
Yeah,
late. Mhm.
feels too
And
late.
please, sorry, didn't mean to
No,
interrupt, but you
go.
said
No.
this at the beginning, I think. Please, for the love of God, put all the Best Picture nominees on streaming, but
Yes.
not, VOD or whatever. No, no, no. Put
Hmm.
it on a streaming service, please, please.
Better yet, put them in theaters and then put them on
Yes.
streaming, because some of these movies
Yes.
weren't even in theaters in our area. And we live in Cleveland, which isn't the biggest city in the world, but it's big enough to get a Frankenstein release. We have IMAX
It
here. We're
is.
not in the middle
It
of it's
is.
not just cornfields in Ohio. We have civilization.
Exactly. We have a thriving film community and we need these in theaters. So, yeah, next year, hopefully.
I agree. Next year we'll be doing Dune Part 3, sweeping the Oscars. It's going to happen. Probably not, but we are very excited for this next award season, because guess what? It's starting now. Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. We're getting going.
That's our
Jay McCarroll,
campaign.
the campaign's starting. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this, first off, thank you for watching. Second off, if you enjoyed
Mhm.
it, please subscribe, drop a like, leave us a comment with some of your takes on the award season. This has been a lot of fun to do. We're getting into the swing of things. We're going to be more consistent here with the uploads. Like, we're just getting started. So we need your support. We
Mhm.
need those subscribers. We need the like button. We need those comments. Give us all the feedback you can. We really, really appreciate it. And with all that being said, that's all we have. Good night.
Yeah.
Hope you guys have a great night.
Bye-bye. Bye.